Frankie. Three signings done since the last spoke to you. You said you wanted one in the next 10 days. You got three, but Kurt Zouma might be leaving. However, we might be signing Adam Wan-Bissaka. We're going to have a bit of a transfer chat tonight, Frankie. And I want to start with Kurt Zouma because that's, despite signing Rodríguez today and announcing it, the latest transfer talk is around Kurt Zouma because a Saudi club have come in for him. And it's expected it'll be a minimal fee, possibly even a free transfer, just to get Zouma out the door, get his wages off the books. What do you make of this news?
I like it. I think he's done a fantastic job. I thought he brought a real good, experienced head to everything that we've done over the last few years. And while I didn't love his captaincy, I think that was a bit of a failure, to be perfectly honest. I do think that he played a real pivotal part in holding everything together while we went on our European adventures. And I think he played a massive, massive part in that. That experience, been there, seen it and done it. He done a really good job. So I'm really happy with what he's done. And I think he's been a brilliant servant to us over the last few years. It's just got to that point where if you can get him off the books, I think it makes a lot of sense. So I didn't expect any money for him. I didn't expect to see any money coming in. But we saw in that friendly that me and you stayed up and watched. I mean, he looked like a stiff as a post, didn't he? The last season, he was a bit stuck in the mud. Well, this time he was just static. He couldn't even move. So, yeah, I think it's the right decision. I think it makes perfect sense, as does a lot of other things that are going on at the moment.
Yeah, I think I'm glad it's not going to drag on by the sounds of it either, that we're being a bit ruthless saying that you need to go, but we're also, I think, being quite respectful to Zouma to some extent, saying that we're not going to charge anything for you, just you can go on a free, so it's up to your agent now to go drum up interest in you and to get you that move that you want, whatever it might be, whether it is Saudi or it's another Premier League club, whatever. And I think that it could actually have a bit of like a happy enough ending as you're going to get when a player in a club part and go their separate ways. I think, like you said, I think he's been a good servant. He's been a good player for us, an important player for us, but it's the right time. And I'm pleased that he's not just going to be. I feel like if he was here next season, we'd view him as a bit of a hindrance, a bit like, well, here's the guy that's refusing to leave and he's taking his money and he's not playing and we can't play him because of his knees and stuff. And I think it would have a very quickly turn sour, actually. So I'm glad he's going with, like, the words you've just said, I think a lot of people would say as well, but only because he's going this summer. If he waited out another 12 months, I think you might have a slightly different opinion of him in 12 months' time.
You haven't got to strip him of that captaincy as well, which I like, because that will keep the nice harmony in the squad. No, like, rifts going on. No one being, like, nose put out of joint. Good idea.
That's an excellent point. Excellent point. Right then, we'll discuss Rodríguez then, announced today. Have you heard of Rodríguez prior to us being linked to him?
No, nothing at all. No idea who the man is whatsoever. I've got to be honest. Not a clue, mate. Not a clue.
Welcome to the camp. I'm in the camp of discovery when it comes to Rodríguez as well. However, from what you've seen and heard about him since we were linked to him, are you excited about this signing?
The only thing I can really take, and this is literally as far as it goes, don't know the man, know it other than he's a CDM. That's what I've got off Wikipedia, if I'm totally honest, because I did a quick search and saw, what position he plays and the clubs that he's played for. That's as far as the research has gone. That just tells me that Souček could be a real push to the back, as just literally just the forgotten man now. And if he can play, we know that Lopetegui likes to play football. I think that's what he's been brought in for. I think it might be just as simple as, I've had a look at Souček in some friendlies. I'm worried we need to replace that man. And this was a very cost-effective, convenient way of doing it. That may be the reason for it. I don't know. I don't love this World Cup winner nonsense. That's just rubbish. Like, there are plenty of people with no, I don't know if it is. That's what I'm saying. If it's a bit of fun, I'm all for it, but I don't know if it is. I just keep hearing it bounded around all the time, and it's just like, well, there's plenty of players that have been part of a squad and had very, very little effect on things. So I don't know if it is fun. If it is fun, then you take it with a pinch of salt and all that. But for me, I just think if he can play a bit of football, this might be we're going to move Souček out. He might still stick around and just be a squad player for the time being if we need to call upon him. But actually, we needed someone who can put their foot on the ball and pass it in that midfield. I'm
a bit of both. I had a bit of fun with it. But I do think to get into the squad, to be in Argentina's squad for the World Cup and Copa America as well, and go on and win them, even though your minutes on the pitch are somewhat limited, it doesn't mean you've not had a role. And just to get there, I think you've done fantastically well to get into that squad in the first place. I think it's a real achievement. Personally, the one thing, I mean, it's a bit of a no-brainer of a transfer, though, isn't it? Tim Steidten seems to be quite a big fan of him. He said that he thinks it's a real coup for West Ham, and he's a big fan of Rodríguez himself, and he really wanted to go get him. So we've always had, for as long as I can remember, we've always had this who signed which player about us. I'd imagine most fan bases are the same. I don't know. I don't tune in. And I think we can do an element of that with Lopetegui and Steidten. Although it feels like majority are Steidten, there's certainly, Kilman, I think it's fair to say, is a Lopetegui pick. This rubber stamp with Steidten. This one feels a bit more of a Tim signing. And that's what gets me a little bit excited. But a 2-year contract, free transfer. His wages are apparently only 40 grand a week because he was only on about 30 grand a week at Real Betis as well. So it's financially cheap for the club. And I just think that even if he was a disaster, i.e. never played, I think financially it's well worth the risk taking, because what you could get is somebody that starts week in, week out for your team. I'm really excited actually to discover about him, Frankie. But the one thing that impressed me a lot with this transfer is, and I think we've done it all summer, kept it very, very, very quiet. Friday was the first we heard about it, and when it broke, it was a case of West Ham have agreed a deal with him. It wasn't West Ham interested. The deal's done. He's on his way to London for a medical over the weekend. It's sorted. It's done. I like it. I do like how we're going about our transfer business this summer, actually.
No, I do. And like I said, I actually think it's very, very sensible business. It's smart business. Like you say, I wouldn't say I'm slightly different. I'm not really excited about the man. I can't be excited because I just don't know what he's about. But this is the thing, isn't it? I think it's hard because we all expected this Tim Steidten, Pearl Diver. We want more Mohamed Kuduses. We want more players that are sort of young of age who are going to come in and just really excite us and just give us that bit of what we've been missing, that bit of excitement, that bit of flair and whatever else. But actually, I think, this is one of them ones that we're not just doing. And I heard a lot of people say that this seems like a very scattergun approach to the window. I'm totally in disagreement with that. I think they've been very smart. I think they've known it. I said to everyone, right back's going to be a key factor. Well, okay, we haven't got that on the line, but we're focusing on it. We called that from day one. That's what Lopetegui needs. So that's happening. We've gone out there and we thought, look, we can't. Before, it would be, well, we've got Antonio, that will do. We can shoehorn in Bowen in there if we have to. We can put Kudus in there. And I even had that opinion. I said, I just know how West Ham are. I think we'd think, actually, we can spend that money elsewhere. Well, that's a different West Ham approach this time round. We've actually gone, no, it's not enough just having Antonio in there. We need someone else up there who can come in, hit the ground running, who's in his prime and can do a job next season. We've gone and got that man. Left-hand side, been a gaping massive missing part of our squad for how many years, and we've gone and signed the Championship Player of the Year to go over there. I actually think it's been very calculated. I think it's been very smart and very clever business. And as we said, be patient, be patient, be patient. Okay, I started to get that little bit of, but we said we'll give them a week, and look how much difference a week can make. We're making progress, and I actually think, like I say, very, very smart business, and I'm happy with what they're doing.
Do you know, off the back of our video last week when we both said we're still patient, a little bit jittery, but we're still quite patient. We lost a patron. He kindly emailed me to say that he was leaving because I'm too calm about the transfer window. I was like, I don't even know what to say to this. Like, what do I say? No, don't leave patron. But I'm not going to get worked up. I'm not going to be fake. I was calm. But I'd like to think a week later, I've been proven correct to be calm. I didn't expect all this business to be done between then and now, granted. But I think what I will say, by the way, just for context, I'm excited for Rodríguez because I'm excited for the reasons you said. You're not excited because you don't know him. But that's why I am excited, because I just think when you sign players, the excitement's capped to some. It's like Somerville. I know what we're getting with Somerville, which it's good. I like the signing, but I feel like I already know what he's going to deliver at West Ham. Whereas Rodriguez, I don't have a clue, so I'm looking forward to that. But I actually think Rodriguez is pearl diving. This is what I class as, and we all have different. What I've discovered in the last year is we all have a completely different opinion of what pearl diving means.
Yeah.
And some, it's young players. That's what it is. Young players we've never heard of that turns out to be superstars. But for me, pearl diving is value. It's what does that player deliver? And if you can get someone like Rodriguez in and he turns out to be an important player for 2 seasons on a free transfer, that is as pearl as it gets, in my opinion. Now, obviously, it might not work out like that, but that is my interpretation of pearl diving. That's why when we've been linked to, maybe this will be the last time I say this statistic. I'm just fascinated by it, and I find it funny. Under David Moyes, 5 years of David Moyes, 5 in total combined across both tenures, we signed 1 player that was 30 years old or over. Post David Moyes, we've now signed 2. But I don't mind it as long as there's balance, because Somerville is on the younger side of things. Kilman is in his prime. Füllkrug's come in, Rodriguez has come in, but it's about balance, in my opinion. I'm happy with what we've done. And that moves us on to the Germany striker then, Frankie. Are you happy with this signing?
I'll be honest, as you know. I don't want to dismiss it.
No, just be honest. Just be honest.
I don't want to dismiss it, and I don't want to sit here and sound like miserable and grumpy. I'm really, the Rodriguez signing I think makes sense. The Somerville signing, I think, good business. I was really impressed with the Kilman signing, good business. The Füllkrug one, I'm not convinced. And I'll tell you why, and this is nothing personal to him, so I just want people to hear me out before
you get into it. I'm going to reassure you, there's a lot of subscribers not convinced either. You're not I wouldn't even say you're in the minority. I think it's pretty split between our subscribers on this.
And for me it's actually really harsh, and it's the wrong way to have an opinion, but it's how my thought process around it is. I'm not the biggest fan of Harry Kane. Again, a very unpopular opinion. I think he can always do it against the nothing teams. When it comes to the crunch, I think he struggles. I went to Wembley in the final, Euros final, and against an aging Italian team, and I felt like we had 1 shot on target in 90 minutes. So that's what Kane offers you. So I don't rate Kane. I didn't like him through this Euros either. He's gone out to Germany and just taken over the league. All right, he managed to cause them to not win their first divisional title in 10 years, which is typical Harry Kane. But, he banged in goals for fun out there. So I always feel like in the Premier League now, that bit of pace is really important. And I'm just concerned that, he might be good in the air, and yes, he might be good positionally, and he might be a good finisher. The Premier League, if you haven't got that bit of pace, players do tend to struggle. So I just feel like, is he going to have a hard time of it? We've had a little friendly bet on the side as to what might happen with him next season. Look, he'll probably come in, he'll do a good job for us in terms of being a squad player, giving competition to Antonio, keep him on his toes. But weirdly, I fully expect in my mind, at the end of the season, Antonio would have played more minutes than Füllkrug, which may be an unpopular opinion.
No, that's okay. It's your honest opinion. I don't mind people. I think as long as it's people's honest views, I really don't mind it. And I know you're okay, but the only thing I say to people, and I include myself in this, is just always be willing to change your mind. And before someone says anything, I know Frankie's had stick in the last few weeks. Wearing a West Ham shirt didn't go down well. A shirt he got on Father's Day from his son. He wore it on the video and got criticised for it. But before I know someone will have typed this out already before they've even heard this bit. But someone will say, "Stop your whinging, just support him." But it's possible to have an opinion but still support him. And
100%.
I always just assume people with negative opinions don't want to be proven correctly. Now, I found out before the Conference League final, though that's not the case because there were some people wanting West Ham to lose that final for Moyes to go. I thought, whoa, that's you putting your opinion above West Ham winning a trophy. And that was too far for me. I just never understood it. However, I just assume if someone has a negative opinion about llkrug, about Rodríguez, about Kilman, they all just want to be proven wrong. They will turn up in support. And the day this penny dropped for me was regarding Felipe Anderson. I can't remember what I said in the tweet. It was negative regarding Felipe Anderson. And someone just said, well, why don't you shut up and turn up and support him? And I said, well, I will. I am going to the game. I will. What do you think I'm going to do? Turn up and read my tweet out to him? Oi, Felipe, I don't think you're trying hard enough and the team will be better. And I'm not reading out my tweet. I'm there to support him and I'm going to cheer him on and pretend he's the best left-wing Brazilian I've ever seen in my life for 90 minutes, because that's just what you do. So before someone says to Frankie, why don't you get behind him, support him? He is behind him. He will support him. His opinion is, I don't think it will work. That's it. Anyway,
well, and not necessarily it won't work. Like, I do feel like he'll have a part to play. I just don't think he'll be a 10 plus goals a season man. We struggle to find that man anyway. And I really don't think that he is that man. Look, I'm quite thick-skinned. I will always tell it how it is. It doesn't worry me. I will take stick all day long. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. Opinions on the internet or whatever, I can take all of that. But I think it's really important just to be honest. And I think sometimes, people try and make everything sound, oh, this is great and this is brilliant and this is that. I still don't think, as much as I said it's smart business that what we've done so far in this transfer window, and we've been here before. We've been here before where we've had transfer windows that have been worse than this, and people have been going, it's a 10 out of 10 transfer window. I'm really excited for the season. 10 out of 10. Well, I'm telling you, we're not even close to near a 10 out of 10 right now. In fact, I'm probably sitting around a 6 or a 7. So we've still got a bit of work to do for me to think that this is
What is that? What do we need then?
Well, I think that Wan-Bissaka, that right-hand side of defence, we know that that's important. Look, there was an opinion on a West Ham podcast that Duran could still get done, but the only way it gets done is if Antonio and Danny Ings leave.
By the way, you can name the podcast. I don't mind.
I couldn't even remember what it was called.
Okay. I don't mind. In case you're thinking about I'd say it. You can say what you want.
I can't remember the name of it, but they basically, the opinion was that unless Antonio and Ings go out the door, that Duran doesn't come the other way. Well, that type of move. And obviously then that would make my last comment look very silly with regards to the fact that Antonio would play more games than llkrug when he could be at the club.
But when you get more data, reevaluate.
Absolutely. And that type of thing now of moving out two people who, in my opinion, have kind of had their day now, and bringing in a young youthful striker who's got potentially a bit of magic and could then, if Wan-Bissaka comes in and those two went out and Duran come in, I'd be like, we're up, this window's right up there now. Now we're serious. We mean serious business. So, yeah, I think there's a little bit of work still to be done.
Centre back for me, I think Zouma out and
I'm still really hopeful of Aguerd. You know I am. I'm still hoping that he plays. I
still want to see someone else, though. I think Aguerd's here to stay. By the way, I'll be surprised if Aguerd goes. I think we've decided he's 35 million, and there's absolutely no takers for him. And it's possible that we've decided actually we're just going to keep him there rather than sell him for 15, 20 million and take what we consider to be a massive hit on him. We'll keep him for another year. And if he doesn't work out, he's probably still worth 15, 20 million.
I was quite critical of Mavropanos, as you know, as well, and saying that I'm not sure he matches the way Lopetegui wants to play. And I come in for a little bit of stick for that. But all of a sudden, some people are now saying that if anyone's going to leave alongside Zouma, he could be also another one who goes. So
I'd keep him. I'm still jury's out, by the way. I've seen him for the whole year at West Ham. I still don't think I've sussed out what he's good at and what he's bad at. I'm still waiting to form a strong opinion on Mavropanos, which is strange. I think in some games he's looked good, some games he's looked pretty rubbish, and he's had a lot of average runs in the middle. But I want to see him remain here and get a chance, and hopefully in 12 months' time I will have formed an opinion on him one way or the other. But I'd like to see us go in with Kilman, Aguerd, Mavropanos, and one more. I just have this. I've just got this feeling we get Todibo. I do. I just think
I'd be very happy.
I think Steidten's pulled a bit of a masterclass on Juventus and gone, there you go, 35 million, what are you going to do? And Juve have gone, we can't afford that. And we've turned around to Nice and said, well, there you go. So we're offering no offer. Which one? And I know people say he's rejected us. I don't see it as he hasn't rejected us. He just prefers Juventus. It's a significant difference, in my opinion.
Well, he weren't born on the Barking Road, was he, at the end of the day? He's not a West Ham fan. At the end, to him, it's a career move. And it don't matter. You would always, if you've got people, if you're a talent and you're in a career or whatever, and you've got people sniffing around, you're always going to want to hear everybody's offers. This is just natural.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Rodriguez and llkrug didn't grow up singing Blowing Bubbles or eating pie and mash either. But here they are, they're West Ham players. And despite Frankie being unconvinced, we're all behind them and looking forward to it. Anything you'd like to add on the transfer front? I guess it's all about getting Wan-Bissaka done now, hopefully before Celta Vigo on Saturday. I think this Zouma deal triggers that, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've spent probably now more than me and you both expected to be spent on terms of, you know, financials and wages. And look, Wan-Bissaka coming in, I think is a big move. We also sort of thought, look, I said 3 or 4 more players, and you said 3 players, and you know, so we're starting to get to that point where we're actually doing more business than all of us anticipated. So
we've only got one more space in the squad.
Yeah.
So we're bringing Wan-Bissaka, that's our 25 man. So now it's 1 out, 1 in.
Yeah, which makes perfect sense. You know, it makes perfect sense, and very happy to do that. And like I say, you know, we know it was a rebuild year, or people expected it to be a rebuild year, and a lot of business needed to be done. However, I didn't expect this. I didn't expect this calculated approach of, do you know what? We know that we want some of these up and coming players who could go on to bigger and better things and make us a profit in the future if they do get sold, or come in and just set us alight. And so we've got that. And then we've also said, no, actually, we also need players who can come in, who are going to go straight in that team, who are in their prime and potentially hit the ground running. We don't know yet, but potentially hit the ground running. And it makes perfect sense. I'm really impressed with the way we've gone about our business. Like you say, I think there's been really drastic changes to the way West Ham have approached this window versus any other in that I can remember. So I'm really, really happy about that. I'm really positive. Like I said to you, I'm not sitting here still going, licking me lips quite like I was when Kudus come in and you was like, this guy has got the world at his feet kind of thing. I'm not there. But I think Kilman was solid business.
Now, a year later, do you think I was right?
What's that?
About Kudus being...
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, he is, for me, just he has got the world at his feet. It would be very hard pressed for you to tell me another player in the Premier League that's got more potential than Kudus has got. I just think he is up there with anyone. I just think he's brilliant. And I think he will go on to be, there's a lot of players who are tipping people for like who's going to be the next big thing, and for me it's just him. I do think he's that good. So, you know, I'm not quite sitting here going, we're going to see that starting lineup on that first game against, you know, Aston Villa, but you know, I think we've been very steady. I think we've been very calculated. I think we've gone and got exactly what Lopetegui has asked for. I think we're ticking these boxes at the moment. And I think before, and I was nervous, I said to you, you know, he's a man who can get a bit frustrated. And if we don't start to show something, then that frustration might kick in. Well, all of those worries are gone, because I actually think all the things that he's probably been seeing and thinking that's a weakness, we've gone right. That left-hand side, he's been playing corner and friendlies, right, ticked off. Souček ball playing in midfield, problem, right, ticked off potentially with Rodriguez. We need the right back. Okay, that's not over the line, but it's coming. Right, we've got Antonio up front, but he's on his own, not enough, tick. So
even
I'm really
Zouma,
impressed.
Dodgy knees, right, get him out.
Dodgy knees, move him on. That's it. And I think
captain, let's get him gone.
Yeah,
then.
And that ruthless approach. I mean, we all remember the James Collins situation, and we're all singing sign him up, Ginger Pele. And if I'm honest, at that time, as much as we loved him, it probably was the right move to move forward as a football club, if I'm honest. And there's no question that we need to move on from Zouma. Great times, thank you very much. Your experience took us to a trophy. Never forget it. But we need to, and I think it's the first time we've really seen West Ham. I mean, I'm really, honestly, I've been not a supporter, not a fan of Souček, but I've always been someone who felt he still had a job to do. He still had a role to play. He's put his body on the line for West Ham over and over again. How many times has he had his head bandaged where he's been throwing himself around and putting his head on things? That severe goal that he scored at home, and he has been. And in the old days, West Ham used to love anyone, regardless of their ability, who was 100% committed to West Ham and gave everything. Well, I never questioned that with him. I always feel like he has given everything to West Ham. We had John Pantsill, who was absolutely useless, but he had his own lap of honour at the end of the season when he was going because he gave everything. And we've always
and stuff. We've always had a few cult heroes, haven't we?
We have, and we've always loved them because they've just given everything for the club, and we appreciate that. And I feel like Souček doesn't get that same. People don't give that same respect back to him after everything that he has tried to give for West Ham. But at the end of the day, like I said, we know his limitations. And if we do want to kick on and be the best team that we can be, then we need to replace him and we need to move on. And I really think Rodríguez is that man. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see a lot of Souček now. And if he doesn't go in the next window, at the end of the season, I don't think he'll be around any longer than that. So I think that the writing's on the wall for him.
Yeah, I think it's the right time to cash in financially as well. We've had more than our value out of him. He's been a bargain for us. And I know I keep getting geeky with PSR, but the way PSR works, if we sold Souček today, actually, even just for the money we purchased him for, so 20 million, say we sold him for 20 million, even though net-wise, it's zero, PSR, it shows as a significant profit on the books because he's been with us for so long. So I think it's the right time to cash in. I think absence makes the heart grow fonder when it comes to things like this. It was a bit like Moyes, really, when it was announced Moyes was leaving, people went, right, now we can actually applaud him after the last home game of the season. You're going now. We're glad you're going, but you can actually get this appreciation. I think it'd be a bit like Souček. In 5-10 years, we'll look back and go, bloody hell, he was a bit of a unsung hero with all these goals, important goals, all these moments and stuff. And he's impossible to dislike, I think, Thomas Souček. Right, I'm going to wrap it up. The way I'm going to wrap it up, though, actually, before I do, if you're new here, please do subscribe. Be nice to hit 40,000. It's an ambitious target, Frankie. I'm going ambitious. 40,000 subscribers before we kick off against Aston Villa. So we do need about just under 500 people. So if you're listening, subscribe and drop a like on the video as well. But I'm going to finish up with this. If we sign Wan-Bissaka, it's very possible our bench against Aston Villa will be Fabianski, Soufal, Aguerd, James Ward-Prowse, Thomas Souček, Crescencio Somerville. I'm assuming Alvarez and Rodríguez. Well, Alvarez is injured, but let's pretend he was fit a second. Crescencio Somerville, Michail Antonio. Our bench is going to be looking good next season when everybody's fit. We're going to have a really good 9 players to call upon during a game of football as well. Every position will be covered, attacking options, defensive options. Our first 11 has got better, but I think possibly more importantly, our bench has got stronger, and we're going from a squad of 13 to a squad of 22, 23 next season. And that's what I'm looking forward to most. Yes, we want a change of style. I agree with that. But I just want a change of approach to different games. Versatile. I want Lopetegui to have more than one tactic. I've seen about 5 during pre-season, but I want to see more than one tactic, more than one way of playing. In order to do that, you need as much players as possible, but also players that can perhaps play different positions in different ways. I think we've got that. You run through the squad: Kudus, Bowen, Paqueta, Ward-Prowse, Somerville, Rodríguez, Alvarez. These are players that can all play more than one position. And I think for the manager, that's an incredible luxury to have, actually. It's exciting times. Thank you. Anything else you'd like to add before we wrap it up for another week?
No, mate, I agree. And yeah, well, last season, sometimes we looked at the bench and thought, we can't really change much because who do you bring on? But we won't have that problem. Yeah, well, that's it. And it was always the same thing. So it will be a different season this season. And Yeah, the only thing to add just at the end here, and it's not on a negative point, actually, it's on a real positive point for me.
Go on.
I had a look at the ticket sales for the up and coming game in the Betway Cup, and I think we've really currently all stuck together and stood by our guns. And I just want to applaud every West Ham fan who knew what was going on, who knew what we was trying to achieve, and that stadium's normally full on those games, and it's a long way for. I couldn't believe how many seats were remaining. So it does look like we're still united. It does look like we're all standing side by side. It looks like we're supporting and defending the children and the lifetimers of our football club, which I think is really, really important. And once we get this game out of the way, then Aston Villa's next. We go in, we bang that place out, and that first game of the season, we go and roar that stadium on, and we give Lopetegui and his boys the biggest lift that they can have at the start of that game, and we try and get one over on Aston Villa, which is going to be really, really, really tough because they are a very good team. So I've got faith and I've got confidence now. I'm looking forward to getting that stadium on that game, and I'm looking forward to everyone being back and all behind the team again. So yeah, I can't wait now. It's round the corner. It's actually gone really quickly for a change, and I'm ready for it now.